Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. My name is Danon, and I'm currently reading over 600 manga and light novels. In order to do this, I visit a lot of websites. Websites that require an ad blocker, if you know what I mean. Throughout the day, I'll hit refresh, scroll through, and see what new chapters have dropped. If I come across one that I'm currently reading, or a new one that catches my interest, I'll open that new chapter into a new tab in Chrome and then get to it when I have time. Every few days, I'll clear my tabs out by reading through all the latest chapters. And that's usually how it goes. I'll make sure I have the chapters ready for me so that when I can spare an hour or two, I'll just read all of them. But every once in a while, a chapter drops from a manga that I love so much, I drop everything I'm doing and read it right that minute. As I'm sure you know, there's a difference between, ooh, I like this series, I'll read the new chapter when I get a minute, and that minute is now, stop talking, I'm reading. Which brings me to the subject of today's video, my top 5 favorite currently running romance manga. So, quick qualification to the top 5 list. I initially only included series that haven't been adapted into anime. We're also going to talk about series that are currently running, at least at the time we're recording. So even though The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity and Gals Can't Be Kind to Otaku are both series that I drop everything for when a new chapter drops, they will not be on this list. Same thing with My Dress Up Darling. Even though it is my all-time favorite romance series, it won't be on this list either, because not only does it have an adaptation, it is complete. Now, I do have a couple of honorable mentions that I want to go over, so I'm sort of cheating with these two, because their respective anime haven't dropped yet. Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You is an award-winning slow-burn romance manga about a woman with two faces teasing a burnt-out salaryman. Now, when I say two faces, I don't mean two-faced. She's not evil, just silly. I mean she has her true face and her public face. And if none of you know what I'm talking about, be honest. Do you talk to your friends the same way you talk to your parents? I doubt it. Sasaki, our aforementioned salaryman, has but one joy in life. He works all day for angry clients and ungrateful bosses, and his only solace is the warm, welcoming smile of Yamada, the beautiful and friendly clerk who works at the convenience store he stops at on the way home from work. Now, to be clear, he's not hitting on her. He's not interested in her romantically or anything. Her smile is a light in the darkness that is his life. But one night, she's not there. Sighing, he steps outside to find comfort in the other thing in his life that he relies on, smoking. For those who have never smoked in their life, good for you. You shouldn't start. Smoking is bad for you. But for those of us who have, we know the feeling of joy we get from that first puff. The thin air we normally breathe is replaced with something thick and nourishing. That nicotine hits and all the problems in the world disappear. Of course, this is due to the addictive nature of nicotine combined with all the other chemicals tobacco companies add to cigarettes. But nothing can be worse than seeing that dreaded no smoking sign. It always made me crave a cigarette more rather than less. And that same sign frustrates Sasaki as he steps outside. Fortunately, someone sees his struggle and invites him to smoke behind the convenience store. She's a rather tough-looking girl. Piercings, choker, leather jacket. But she was still nice enough to invite him. Of course, this girl is Yamada, but Sasaki doesn't recognize her. She's showing her true self. She's on break after all. She doesn't have to keep the customer service mask on anymore. She can be her true self. A snarky, fun-loving girl who's a bit of a punk. Not a full-on delinquent, mind you, but someone who's a little rough around the edges. Someone who wants to play and not take life seriously. She goes so far as to give Sasaki a fake name, because he obviously doesn't recognize her. And so, this adorable slice of life begins with a man being teased by two women, even though they are the same person. And for those of you who prefer anime over manga, don't worry. This series is getting an anime this summer. Now That We Draw is another series I've talked about a lot on this channel. I know the art style isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I care more about story structure, tropes, and characters than I do about art style. Then again, anyone who says the art is bad is smoking crack. Clearly. I mean, just look at this blush. That's right. Just soak it in. This anime is going to be peak. When I tell you that this series is the spiritual successor of My Dress-Up Darling, I'm not being hyperbolic. My Dress-Up Darling is a beautifully drawn seinen series about two kids getting into cosplay and falling in love. There are some stressful moments to be sure, especially in the final arc of the series, but overall, My Dress-Up Darling was light and happy. And Now That We Draw is a light and happy seinen series about two kids who both love manga, learning about what it takes to become mangaka. Uehara is dejected and depressed after his manga is rejected by a publisher. He's told that his characters are unrealistic and that the premise is boring. But no matter how hard he tries, he can't seem to throw it away. So he goes to store it in his locker. Only he gets surprised by Miyamoto, the class Gyaru, and accidentally shoves his manga pages into her locker. She picks them up and reads them, her long legs easily keeping her far ahead of a panicked Uehara. Much to his surprise, Miyamoto falls in love with Uehara's story. It's so sad, but she loved it anyway. So, since she saw his, it is only right and proper for Miyamoto to show hers to Uehara. Shyly, Miyamoto pulls out a tablet to show Uehara her manga that also got rejected. Uehara is blown away by the quality of her artwork. The facial expressions, the backgrounds, everything is gorgeous. And her writing is a lot of fun as well. Before he can even say anything, Miyamoto is overcome with embarrassment. The shot of her covering her face with her pigtails is delightful. The two of them converse about their experience and come to the realization that they both got rejected for the same reason. Their manga had unrealistic romance. So why don't they start dating right now so that both of them can gain some experience? The idea is too much for Uehara. Dating someone as beautiful and outgoing as Miyamoto? No way, right? He's too gloomy and nerdy for her. But Miyamoto is insistent. It doesn't have to be a real relationship, it can be a fake one. We just need to practice. I know, let's do all the things you see in rom-coms. She falls down the stairs butt first, smashing into Uehara. He tries to wall slam her, but the size difference makes the whole situation ridiculous. But what else can they do? Kissing? Sex? Ooh, I know. Why don't we try holding hands? The two of them are at school long after they're supposed to be, and they hear a teacher coming. So they hide inside the podium. And there, waiting for the teacher to pass, they hold hands. And it is too much for the pair of nerds. Yes, even though Miyamoto is a Gyaru who loves cute fashion that shows off a ton of skin, she is still a nerdy maiden at heart. And her reaction to finally having held hands with a boy? Right here. Yeah, it's that blush from earlier. Absolutely delightful. As I stated earlier, these two series were my honorable mentions. I love both of them, but they're getting an anime this summer. So let's take a look at my actual top 5. Eventually, some of these will be getting an anime, but they haven't yet. Now, all of these series are peak, so this isn't a ranking or anything. I love all of these series, and I'm sure you will too. They Are Still Being Shaken this morning is a meta deconstruction of the romantic comedy genre about how readers both influence and at the same time have no influence over the series they enjoy. Now, some rom-coms with a bland protagonist who winds up with a harem are meant to be self-insert characters. They are a pair of pants you are meant to wear as the reader so you can feel what it's like to be loved and desired by all those cute girls. Because we all know it'll never happen in real life, right? And reading these cute romance manga, seeing kids find happiness in this dark and dreary world full of malice and ignorance is why we read these cute romances. And it is also what this series is about. There are a pair of kids on this train. He gets on a couple stops before she does. He also gets off a couple stops before her. They're the same age, but they go to different schools. If there's a spot next to him when she gets on, she sits next to him. It is a very cute moment. So cute, in fact, that 3 adults have formed a group chat discussing the kids. You have an office lady in her late 20s or early 30s, a college-aged boy, and an older man who's a director at the company he works for. The 3 of them are us. We are these 3 characters, observing the slow progression of our main couple. And this is the slowest of slow burns. Every glance is analyzed, looked at from different angles, and discussed to an absurd degree. Yes, I said absurd. This series is a comedy about romance rather than a romantic comedy. And if you're wondering why the art style looks so familiar, the author's other work is Actually I Am, or My Monster Secret. The cute one about the boy who finds out his crush is a vampire and now he has to keep it a secret, along with all the other monster girls at his school? Yeah, that author. Now, this series isn't for everyone, and I fully recognize that fact. But the meta nature of this story and how the focus isn't on the main couple but rather on the trio who is observing them makes it a top-tier series for me. Good jokes, good comedy, great artwork, and adorable characters all make They Are Still Being Shaken This Morning one of my favorites. Akira Failing in Love is a story of a pair of kids succeeding by failing. Momose Akira is a beautiful girl who, in my opinion, is a little bit autistic. Unless she has a plan, she cannot move forward. She freezes up and makes mistakes. When she was a little girl, a boy talked to her every day. She was normally reserved and quiet and rarely responded to this boy. But she enjoyed having him around. The boy fell in love with her and she fell in love with the boy. Then one day, her family moved to the city and she never saw the boy again. Until high school, of course. Kugiyama is stunned. His angel, his one true love, has returned. How's he supposed to handle this? Should he talk to her? Does she remember him? She's even more beautiful than he remembered. There's no way he's this lucky. That day, the first day of school, Akira pins Kugiyama to a tree. He cowers before her awesome might. She leans in close and asks what his favorite food is. He lies, trying to sound more mature. Really? No, it's almond rice. She smirks to herself. You haven't changed at all. Of course, she was hoping for that. She was hoping the boy she loved was still the same boy. And her friends cheer her on because she did such a good job talking to the boy she loved. But Kugiyama lay there stunned, wondering what happened. The next day, she decides to make his heart race by sneaking up behind him. She was supposed to cover his eyes and say, "Guess who?" But she wound up putting him in a cobra clutch instead. Now what's she supposed to do? Her brain freezes up. She didn't plan for this. She just meant to tease him a little, make his heart race for her. Not choke him out. This series is wonderful, and every time a new chapter drops, I'm filled with delight. Unfortunately, it tends to drop at the same time as our next series, so every week I face the dreaded decision of reading the newest chapter of Akira Falling in Love, or Sumiki Ogami's Not So Ordinary Life is the story of a boy whose life lacks direction. Shinso is quiet, timid, and has no plans for the future. He knows he wants to do something, the drive to accomplish things, do something with our lives, be somebody is in all of us. But Shinso isn't sure what direction to take himself. For years, he just tried to fit in with what his friends and classmates were doing, but eventually he lost himself. So he decides what he needs is a change. Something new. He decides not to go to school with all of his friends, but instead to a new high school. A high school full of monsters and supernatural beings. Medusas, spider-women, Yuki-onna, vampires, invisible people, and most importantly, werewolves, are now known as mythfolk. Folk out of myth and legends. The person sitting next to him is a werewolf named Sumiki Ogami. Shinso is enraptured by her. She's outgoing and confident, everything he's not. The two soon form a friendship that, over time, evolves into something more. But though romance is a big part of this manga, the main focus is on Shinso and his character growth. The series moves at a fairly good pace. We're already a good way through their second year in high school, and Shinso is a completely different person from the early chapters of the manga. And yes, there has been some progression on the romance front, but they're both taking their time and focusing on their school life rather than pushing towards romance. But they're not the only potential couple in the series. My favorite side couple has finally become official, and I'm just so happy about it. To whom am I referring? You'll have to read it and find out. Me and the Prez Drinking Under the Stars is an adorable adult age gap rom-com about a department director taking care of his drunken president. At the tender age of 24, Izutsu Reina inherited a publishing company after the death of her father. Izutsu Publishing was a small company, with most of the management team there when the company was founded. They've watched it grow up and hold its own against larger companies while still maintaining its competitive edge. And now, instead of an experienced 50-year-old man who had built the company up from nothing, we have a 20-something girl who is in over her head. Her employees, especially the veterans, aren't sure she's up for the job. The sad part is, she knows what people are saying about her, and she's not sure they're wrong. One night while walking home, Ishizumi Kenichi, one of the department directors who works at Isuzu Publishing, finds a drunk girl yelling in the park. Of course, it's the president. Her guard is down, and she's letting it all hang out. Her emotions, pervert. She would rather just revert back to being a baby than continue being the president. No one likes her, and the new people are so stupid and incompetent, she has to put them in a headlock in order to get them in line. Ishizumi tells her that he thinks she's doing a great job. She takes her father's company and her new role very seriously, and several people at work have noticed. So she shouldn't worry. Reina thinks that Ishizumi is hitting on her. Wait a minute, who are you? Reina is so drunk she doesn't recognize her own employee. And so begins another mistaken identity romance, where the president falls in love with an employee who supports her, but doesn't realize who he is. The cutest girl closest to me, also translated as my older sister's friend, is another age gap romance. There's a lot of those going around, aren't there? But this one's a lot closer in age. If the characters were adults, you wouldn't consider it an age gap at all. But she's a first-year college student and he's a second-year high schooler, so they're about 3 years apart. But what makes this one special? There were two things that really made me fall in love with this series. The first one is the natural relationship our two main characters have with each other. You see, they've known each other since she was in junior high and he was in elementary school, and he's been in love with her the whole time. She, Hanako, is Asahi's big sister's best friend. At this point, she's basically family. And, years ago, Asahi overheard Hanako tell his big sister that she thought of him like a little brother. This broke his heart. So he pined for her, but never acted on his feelings. He never confessed, never pushed himself forward. Asahi treated Hanako like family. Only, everyone else saw through this. The second thing that made me fall in love was the depiction of how Asahi is the envy of all the boys at school, because he's constantly surrounded by all the cute girls in class. Why? Because they don't feel threatened by him. All the rest of the boys have ulterior motives, and they're not exactly subtle about it. It is obvious that the boys in class want to get close to the girls so they can get laid. They're not looking at the girls as people, but as holes to put their dicks in. Sorry to be graphic, but teenage boys are teenage boys after all. But Asahi is different because he's in love. Head over heels in love, and all the girls know it. So he looks at the girls in class as fellow students, not potential mates. After all, how could any of them compete with Hanako? Asahi knows that Hanako only thinks of him as a little brother. But feelings can change over time. She used to think of him that way, but now, who's to say? But maybe they should wait for him to get into college before they do anything. After all, he is still a high school boy. This is a very cute and wholesome series about falling in love with someone who is a little bit out of your reach, but as you grow, both physically and mentally, your reach becomes longer. What about you? What series are you completely in love with? What manga do you tell everyone they need to read? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alex, Robert, Pi, Cazares, Patrick, Osara, Justin, Sleech, Luke, Mr. Salty, Daniel, Zombie, Brian, and Enra, Waka, and Lon. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.